Well, the picture quality is not too good because the sun is shining bright into my face. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, what's new in Israel after Yom Kippur? By the way, Shana Tova, Happy New Year to everybody. The huge headlines today, at least in Israel, are about what happened on Erev Yom Kippur, on the evening of Yom Kippur, Sunday night. So there is a story about it. You may not know because the international media is, I don't know what they report about Israel, but many things, if you don't speak Hebrew, if you don't know Hebrew, if you can't read any Israeli sites in Hebrew, you are kind of left out. Even if you read the Jerusalem Post or something, or Arutz Sheva or something, Israel International News, even if you read this in English, you are not up to date about what is going on in Israel, and you don't really know the Israeli opinion because the English-speaking media in Israel is made for tourists and for people abroad. Too American, I would say, and not really Israeli at all. So friends of mine told me I should make more videos in English and talk about the situation here from a Hebrew-speaking side or point of view. So it's been going on, as you know, that Israel has been facing lots of left-wing, extreme left-wing demonstrations since the last Knesset elections taking place last November. And of course you hear that the Netanyahu government wants to change or wants to make certain changes regarding the Supreme Court. So what you also may hear abroad is about these demonstrations against the Netanyahu government carried out by the Israeli left. And you have many branches of the Israeli left, from the real extremists, who actually I think should move to Gaza and not stay in this country, up to modern leftists or more liberal leftists. So they all talk about if the Netanyahu government is carrying out the Supreme Court changes, then Israel would become a dictatorship, which is not true. Which is not true, by the way. We would have a more American, a more freedom system, and not all this bribery and everything going on at the Supreme Court now. Also, those demonstrations are very much against Judaism, against Orthodox Judaism of any kind. Even if it's modern Orthodox Judaism, Orthodox or national religious Judaism, of course, especially against Haredi Judaism. Well, it's all one Judaism, but you know, there's the Orthodox sector, and it's mostly or only against the Orthodox. But you also have, among those left-wingers, you have Orthodox Jews who are very, 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 when it comes to Orthodox Judaism, they are very modern and very liberal, although still Orthodox. So you also have some of them among those demonstrators. What you have to understand is these left-wing demonstrations in Israel are not about the Supreme Court and are not about the changes. They are about, and many demonstrators say it out loud, It's to get rid of the current government. They want a left-wing government. They've never accepted the Netanyahu government. They just don't accept it. The majority voted in favor of Netanyahu and his coalition. But those left-wingers do not accept it. So who is trying to install a dictatorship? As I said, the demonstrators, the left-wingers, are very much against Judaism, against Orthodox Judaism. They want something liberal, you know. They don't even want Judaism most of the time. They just want to be as everybody else in this world. They don't care. They don't even care about any Jewish heritage. They don't care about the Jewish identity. They want to be just like everybody else in the world. And have, you know, there is no need for a God and trying to tell us what to do, and just, you know, just go away. And when you look at certain videos on YouTube, even on YouTube, look at the left-wing demonstrations. You see those demonstrators, many of those demonstrators, not all, acting like zombies. I don't know what's going on in this world. The whole world seems to be upside down, you know, with transgender, and everybody can choose his gender, even if it's a donkey. You know, everybody is a leftist. You can't say anymore. You don't have a freedom of speech, because if you say something not going in accordance with the left-wing opinion, so, you know what, you are being hated, you are an outsider, you're even taken to court, whatever. So this is also slowly taking place in Israel, although we don't have this transgender problem. Here it's about something else. It's about getting rid of the Torah, getting rid of Orthodox Judaism, getting rid of God, and everybody just does what he wants. The problem with this is that the Jews have this country because of God. If there isn't a God anymore here, let's say, so there wouldn't be a reason why Jews should have this country. Then they can go and live anywhere they want, but not here. So if you don't accept God, at least, or some kind of Jewish heritage, I'm not talking about being from. So when you don't accept all this, and not your Jewish identity, so there is no reason for you to be in Israel. Because this is a Jewish state. It doesn't mean that everybody has to be religious, but, you know, at least have some identity, some tradition. As a matter of fact, a lot of secular left-wing Israelis are moving abroad, even to Germany. They prefer Germany as opposed to Israel. If the Jews in Germany had known this, like during the times of the Third Reich, they wouldn't believe it. They wouldn't have believed it. But today, many secular leftist Jews from Israel, they prefer Germany. They tell Israel to F off, and they are moving to Germany. And what do they do in Germany? They investigate how much welfare they get in Germany. How much welfare from the Germans. So welfare is more important. Well, in Germany you get more than in Israel. But what I'm trying to explain is like this whole situation here, this whole atmosphere. Because it's not that easy to explain to someone from abroad. So today, what's happening today, not only now, but for the past few months, that as a religious Jew, you may have problems walking through the streets of Tel Aviv. If you have a kippah, like, man, if they have a kippah on their head, Women, they attack less. But if you are Haredi, or you have like a knitted kippah on your head, like national religious, modern Orthodox, you may get attacked in Tel Aviv. It's a secular city, but still, it used to be, everybody could walk there. Now you can't. You really have to watch out if you are a religious Jew, because you may get into trouble. And this very much reminds me of the Nazi Reich, where you couldn't walk like as a Jew, as an obvious Jew, wherever you wanted, because you got attacked. Today, you get attacked by Jews. Jews get attacked by Jews in the middle of Tel Aviv. You don't have to go to Germany anymore. You don't have to go to the United States or England or France to experience anti-Semitism. You have it right here in this country. Jews against Jews. Now, when you know the Talmud and the Torah, and especially Kabbalah, you know that there is something called the Erev Rav. What's the English word? That's a good question. Something with multitude. Mixture, multitude or something. It's actually in the Torah, and those Jews, they are not Jews, the Erev Rav, but they were people in Egypt who joined the Jews when they left Egypt in the days of Moshe, in the days of Moses. So those non-Jews from Egypt joined the Jews to get out of Egypt. And as soon as, after 40 years, they entered the land of Israel, so they mixed. They married among each other. First they didn't, but eventually they did. And today you have many people living here calling themselves Jews, but they are actually not. They are descendants of the Erev Rav. It's a very complicated topic. And it says that when Mashiach is coming, so he will know who is who, because we don't know this anymore today. So many people say all those demonstrators are Erev Rav. Could be, could be not, or at least some. Who knows? And but so far, the demonstrators, although they are attacking other Jews, also in Bnei Brak, outside Tel Aviv, they had some kind of, I don't know, some were probably celebrating Rosh Hashanah and also keeping more or less, maybe less, Yom Kippur, because Yom Kippur is the highest holiday in Judaism. It's a 25-hour long fast day, and where you ask God for forgiveness, and God signs you into the book of life or not, worst case. But Yom Kippur is very special here in Israel. You hardly see any cars on the streets, and if so, it's mostly Arabs. It's a very quiet day, although this time it wasn't, because here in Jerusalem and many neighborhoods, also in my neighborhood, the Arabs were freaking out and making lots of noise deliberately. They like to do that. But what's happening in Tel Aviv for secular Jews is that every year it has become a tradition that a certain organization, Orthodox, I don't know which one, I think it's not Chabad, they are offering a Yom Kippur service, Kol Nidre'i, on Yom Kippur Eve, in the middle of Dizengoff Square, Kikar Dizengoff. It's in downtown Tel Aviv. It's a very famous area for shopping, for bars, restaurants, whatever. So they usually have about 1,000 people, sometimes more, joining. And people joining the Kol Nidre'i service, they are all secular. But the purpose is to encourage them to do at least something, a little. to keep some tradition. So in previous years, this service, it's an outdoor service, it's not inside a synagogue. It's in the middle of the square, outside in the street. So in previous years, there was a mechitza, a separation between men and women, like a curtain, something. And this year, the leftists went against this mechitza. They didn't want the service to take place at all. They wanted something reform. But eventually this Orthodox organization, they said, we are having the service, but they were prohibited, the municipality of Tel Aviv prohibited the mechitza, which is, by itself, it's a disgrace. Because we are here in a Jewish state, and you should at least have some real Judaism and not larifari. So on Sunday night, they didn't have the mechitza for the first time, the separation, but men and women had separate seating. And they were about to start Kol Nidre'i, or they've started already, the first, like the famous prayer on Yom Kippur Eve. And an extreme leftist organization had some people coming, I don't know how many, maybe 50, maybe 100, I don't know. And they were mocking this service. They were mocking Judaism, they were mocking God. They came with microphones, screaming, we hate religious Jews, although those Jews participating in the service were all secular. They just wanted to keep some tradition. So people screamed into microphones, then they played whatever pop music, or I don't know, through those using the microphones. They took machzorim, like the prayer book, the holiday prayer book, before Yom Kippur, threw it onto the ground, and they were screaming all over, we hate religious Jews. And can you imagine, they took the machzor, Yom Kippur, and threw it onto the ground and stepped on it. And so they did all sorts of things to crash the service, to make people go home. But people kept on, and they finished the service. And now imagine the same situation had taken place in New York, in Germany, somewhere in Germany, or somewhere else in the world. The whole Jewish world would be screaming, oh my God, this anti-Semitism, what's going on? But this, mocking a Yom Kippur service, transgressing it, and just laughing about it and stepping on God, happened here right in the middle of Tel Aviv in Israel by Jews. Of course, there may have been also some non-Jews, who knows? They also like to do that. But as it seems, most of them were Jews, and they hate God and religious Jews and anything connected to Judaism so much. They probably hate themselves, about this self-hatred among Jews, that it has been disgusting. I mean, if you told this to someone, no one would believe it, that the most anti-Semitism in this world is taking place in the middle of Tel Aviv. If this had taken place in a different country, everybody would have been screaming, the Jewish press and Simon Wiesenthal Center and everybody. But this, making it worse, took place in the middle of Tel Aviv, carried out by Jews. So the police had to protect Jews from Jews, although the cops have much more important things to do, especially on Yom Kippur with the Arabs. Protecting Jews from Arabs, especially on the Jewish holidays, because there's always something going on. But this time in Tel Aviv, the police had to protect Jews from Jews. all this happening is causing today a lot of disgust. And people can't believe what's happening to this country. I mean, if I hate God so much, if I hate everybody here so much, if I hate it so much, so I move somewhere else, let them move to Germany, where they belong, although the Germans also don't want them, not because they are Jewish, but because they are weird. And now they want to enter the German welfare system. Germany has enough migrants entering the welfare system. Now left-wing Israelis are coming. Great. But this whole ongoing here in Israel, and it doesn't stop. Now we're going to have Sukkot coming up on Friday night. And after Sukkot, after the Feast of Tabernacle holidays, so you're going to have the demonstrations going on again, trying to get this government out and taking over power, and establishing a dictatorship in this country, a leftist dictatorship. This is what they want. All this ongoing in this country is encouraging lots of Christian missionaries to become even more demanding or rude. You see, in Jerusalem we have a tradition that during Sukkot we have what is called a Jerusalem parade here. But this Jerusalem parade is not being organized by the municipality, but by the International Christian Embassy here in Jerusalem, located in Jerusalem. And this embassy is a Christian missionary organization. So during Sukkot, or even before Sukkot now, downtown Jerusalem here, it's full of Christian missionaries, because they all come in order to participate in this parade taking place next week. So we have thousands of Christian missionaries, evangelicals, Christian Friends for Israel, the worst of the worst Christian missionaries trying to missionize Jews. We have them here in Jerusalem these days. And they are becoming more and more encouraged by the Israeli leftists going against religious Jews. So the missionaries think, if those Israelis can do it, we can do it. So they are entering synagogues. I mean, the missionaries, and I've heard they were entering synagogues in the old city here, and I don't know, screaming around or whatever they do. They're becoming more and more bold, trying to have their mission, so to speak. They are standing in the middle of Zion Square, which is here in downtown Jerusalem, with microphones screaming about Yoshke, about all kinds of things. And you have also Gentiles living here in Israel. You don't only have intermarriage in the United States, you also have intermarriage in Israel. When Israeli guys after the army, for instance, go abroad and they meet a non-Jewish girl while traveling, and then they import her to Israel. So you also have lots of non-Jewish, basically Christian, women coming here married to Israeli Jews. And especially them, they're also participating in the demonstrations, because they want to get rid of Orthodox Judaism as well. They don't see the political stuff, but they see Orthodox Jews as their own personal enemies, not because of missionizing, but because they are, as Gentiles, are married to Israeli guys. Mostly it's guys marrying non-Jewish women or being intermarried. So they see those non-Jewish women, they see religious Jews as their personal enemy. And when they have children, of course the children are not Jewish anymore because the mother isn't Jewish. So they raise their children with hatred towards religious Jews because they are the big enemies. So this is what's been going on in Israel at the moment. And I don't know what to say. It's a disgrace what's going on in this country. And when I look at these leftist Israeli Jews, demonstrating, some are normal and, it's okay. But many of them, they act like zombies. It's like brainwashed, or they took something. I don't know what they took. Some drugs, or I don't know. And they are violent. They are violent. When you go against their ideas on the internet, some on Twitter or whatever, so you are being flooded with hate mail. I haven't. But I don't enter any discussions, but I delete it. Because, I'm a cancer patient and I'm not wasting my time with idiots and their stupid comments. So I just delete this. I have better things to do in my life. So it's very sad what's happening here. That Israel, especially Tel Aviv, has become a total anti-Semitic place. Hating religious Jews. Wanting them out, wanting them dead, wanting them, I don't know, onto the moon. But because of Judaism, because of God, because of Halakha, and especially because of Torah, we are here in this country. We have this country. If you don't care about all this anymore, not even about your little tradition, this is the wrong place for you, and you should go to Berlin and live there. And being hated by certain Germans, and especially by Muslims, because Berlin is packed with Muslims. So is Germany. Even the Germans are very afraid. There's a whole big thing going on in Germany because of the migrants. So if you prefer to live among those migrants from Pakistan, from Afghanistan, from Tunisia, from Morocco, from Syria, from Lebanon, from Iraq, so be my guest. But to tell you the truth, I'm very concerned about the security in this country and what's going to happen. Because if those leftists won, we will have a Bolshevik socialist dictatorship. And I don't see this as a great future for Israel. Socialism has failed all over the world, except for what? North Korea and maybe Cuba. I don't know the situation in Cuba now. But socialism has failed all over the world. And it just doesn't work. Here in Israel, these demonstrators, we call them Bolsheviks, because they still have this Bolshevik mindset. So we are having the high holidays now, the Jewish high holidays, and it's actually a disgrace for what is going on in Tel Aviv. In Tel Aviv, it's such a hyped city. I don't know why. Not only because of that mindset, but for many things, Tel Aviv is very, very ordinary, especially very expensive. But now you have lots of anti-Semitism in Tel Aviv, making it worse. So this is what I wanted to say, and I'm going to keep everybody up to date, and I'm going to make more videos about the whole situation here. I think it's interesting because to hear it from an Israeli point of view, and not only from the English-speaking media in Israel, which is, not only in my eyes, far too American. So, that's it. This is what I wanted to say. Very sad what's going on here, but we hope for the best. So I wish you Shana Tova, Happy New Year. And for the upcoming Sukkot festival, Chag Sameach, and I will make many more videos. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope I didn't upset you too much.